Have you or any of your friends been bored of the same 3 games you always be playing? Whether it's Fortnite, Minecraft, or Call of Duty, it's safe to say you'd probably get pretty bored. But that, my friends, is where Friendslop Games come in. Friendslop Games, as said in the Wikipedia description, are these cheap and simple games that usually are found on Steam, rarely on console, but mostly on PC Steam, that are basically like very cheap, very under the average price of $60 or $70. And the recent norm that Nintendo put now $80. The first game that kind of did start this somewhat was Among Us. Among Us was a game that came out during COVID. I'm sure everybody knows what that is. It came out free on mobile. I think, is it still free on mobile? It came out free on mobile, and then on PC, console, and all that, it was like $4 or something like that. So, everybody bought it because it was so cheap and so easy to play. So easy to purchase, easy to play. But it kind of did start that somewhat during 2020, but it didn't start a huge wave of that. It started a wave of people making social deduction games, which is, what Among Us clarifies itself as. That started that. It didn't really necessarily start this Friendslop thing. And in my opinion, the first actual, Friendslop game, in my opinion, was probably Lethal Company. Lethal Company was released in October of 2023, right when Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was remastered. It was in, COD's era of remastering games and then making them like $70 or $80, and releasing them. And it was basically in the middle of this, and this random Roblox creator was like, you know what? I'm going to release a $10 game. I mean, there's a little more planning behind it, but he's like, he releases this game. And then basically it outsells COD. It makes I want to say, I don't know. And the reason, you may ask, what is the reason for this? It's because it was $10. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was $70. It was one of the first games, I think, to start doing that $70 thing. So nobody really wanted to buy that. But then Lethal Company is like $10. So then everybody's just like, yeah, I'd rather go with that. I'll just go on my crappy work computer or my school laptop and play it. Because Lethal Company Vanilla is a pretty easy game to run, as far as I remember. So you don't really need much. So you could just buy it on any computer you wanted for $10, and it's like, yeah, sweet. Now, some of you may be wondering, some of you, not all of you, because I feel like, this game's old news, may be wondering what Lethal Company was. And Lethal Company basically was a multiplayer co-op game where you and your friends go into some random ass building on a random ass planet and would go get scrap and materials and then sell them. And you have to meet a deadline called the quota. And if you didn't meet the quota, you would just lose all your progress and die, and that was pretty much it. But one of my favorite things of this game which is a reoccurring thing that I like about these games, is proximity chat. It's like you're on one side of the building and then the other side of the building, you just hear your buddies screaming. I feel like I always loved that type of feature, and it was kind of from what I remember, it seemed pretty rare of a feature before Lethal Company. Also, another thing this game had that I like about some other games is the public matchmaking feature, which is it has public lobbies. I feel like a lot of games had this, but Lethal was the one I used the most of. You'd load in, you could hit join game, and you could just join random people. And on Lethal Company, people were pretty cool. I've met some really cool people.
Voice sounds a lot better when your lips are together.
And some really bad people. But that's not something that's a whole video for a whole other day. This game is also, in a way, helped me bond in a way with my brother. This is one of the first of many games that me and my little brother bought and start playing together a lot. This is when we started playing games together a lot. And it was kind of it kind of rekindled that from our young childhood. So yeah, Lethal Company is I would consider it top tier, S tier. It's just that good. I definitely recommend it to everybody at least once in a lifetime. After the huge success of Lethal Company, they made so much money off the game, and they literally outsold Call of Duty, the best-selling game every year. It basically caused some people to be like, hey, I want to do this too. I want in on this little cash prize, you know? Because, like, again, it's only one game like that at the time. So, like, you know, you're thinking, oh, I could probably get in on this and make some decent money. So a few companies did do that, did jump in on it. Now, content warning may be a little different premise, but it was like it was shortly after Lethal Company came out. And let me tell you, it did not break any records. It didn't really do much. It was a popular game. You know, all your favorite YouTubers were playing it at the time, but it wasn't a big game. It was an inherently cool concept when it came out, but for me, like, I want to say 2 weeks after it released, it just got really boring, and I realized that I actually hated this game, and I just wasted $10. There was two other games that like heavily were on. There's two other games that I singled out that were a lot like Lethal Company. There's a bunch of other games, in my opinion, that are clones, but I've kind of forgotten about them. And these two are just the main ones. We have Murky Divers and Pilgrim. After a content warning, I've never played any like Lethal Company clones because it's just like, I'm not wasting my money. I value my time and saving my money, so I was just like, I'm not gonna do anything stupid like that. In February of 2025, another game living off of the Friendslop game hype. This game wasn't like Lethal Company, so that's why I didn't label it as a Lethal Company clone. But it does have a lot of similarities. When I first heard of R.E.P.O, I was like, hell no, I ain't buying that. That's just another Lethal Company clone. But then I started to realize it skyrocketed. It just got hella popular. Everybody was buying it. Everybody was like, hey, Connor, you got to buy this. And I was like, you know what? I'll cave in. I got $10 laying around. So I went ahead and bought it. And let me tell you, I love that shit, man. It was, when I played it, I actually feel like I did when I played Lethal the first time. Like, it was actually really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was, I don't know. It just brought back that feeling of Lethal Company. Because, you know, at that time, I had like probably 200-300 hours in Lethal. So it just got really stale and I didn't feel like playing it anymore. So then R.E.P.O comes out. Something new, something I haven't experienced before. It felt that same feeling. You know, I didn't feel like I was reloading Lethal for like the 1,000th time. Now, this game also had the matchmaking feature as well. It was added later, like I want to say in the middle of the summer. It was added, and I don't think I've ever met anybody on there that stayed for like more than a month. It seems like most people I've ever met through the matchmaking were always weird people.
84.
That's hot.
Nearly adult.
How crusty is it?
Hey boys, it's editor Mr. Smash over here. The person in this clip was literally some big back that had a Pornhub account, and there's a video of her on there where she's literally pissing on a fucking Pokemon figure. I don't know how or even if I can share the video due to YouTube's policy, but I just thought I would give y'all a little bit of context behind that before I just put that out there randomly. I've never met a good person off of that. So, I'm sure it holds potential. The game still holds potential to this day. And I still play it every once in a while with my buddies. You know, we'll load it up every once in a while, find a random, and just have fun with it. But I'll give that game, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I just see it that good. Schedule 1 was a game that came out shortly after R.E.P.O. Like, I think it was like a month. It was like in March. At first I was a little hesitant to buy this game because unlike the last games, this game was like $20. I was like, do I really want to spend my money on this? But I had extra money laying around. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, it looks like a fun game. I like the concept. So I went ahead and I caved in and I bought it. It was probably one of the best games I played that year. It's not every day where you find a game about becoming a fucking drug lord. Like, I don't think I've ever played a game like that since like GTA. But GTA, that's like a slight part of it, of the online mode. You don't even really get to do much. It's just you interact with a menu and then you just sell the stuff. There's not really much to it. And also, something I should mention, I am very surprised that this game did not get any backlash whatsoever. I didn't see it in the news. Because, like, If it came out around 2013 when GTA did, like, you think about it, this game made headlines because you could run people over and steal their cars. This game, Schedule 1, you're literally like dealing drugs. I don't know how this game didn't make it to the news or, have parents whining about, how it promotes violence. I'm surprised that never happened. But this game overall for me is an 11 out of 10. And I would recommend this to anybody if you got the money. And this game still holds a ton of potential. The dude, Tyler, I think is his name, he still is adding updates to the game and still is, he has like a roadmap now out, I'm pretty sure. And it looks like it's got a lot of potential now. And I'm really excited for what he's got planned for this game. Guilty as a Sock. Guilty as a Sock. This was a game that came out later in the summer of last year. Since I had the money at the time, because it was like, I think it was on sale, so it was like $4 or $5. I went ahead and bought it, and let me tell you, it was peak comedy. It was really hilarious because, you load in with your buddies and you throw the most like horrendous court case at them.
Yeah.
It was just funny. I loved it a lot. We had some fun. And basically, this game allowed you to make random and custom court cases for people to defend or offend. I don't know what the term is. I'm not a lawyer. So it could get out of hand when you play with randoms. But overall, it was a trip, man. And I didn't play this game as much because looking at it when I was scripting this video, I only had 2 hours on the game. Again, only like 2 people bought this game, so I didn't really get to play it a whole lot. But either way, I'm putting this game in a good solid A tier. And again, like the other few games, I think it has a lot of potential. Peak was an interesting one that really blew up at the time. Like, this one probably did beat some records. It was also, I'm pretty sure, published. I don't think it was developed, but it was published by the same people that published Content Warning, which was published by Landfall Games. And Landfall Games does have a history of interesting games. I don't know if what they had to do with it, but just something I'd put out there. The game released in the middle of the summer for like $8 or something like that. And I was like, you know what? Why not? I'll go ahead and buy it, see what the hype's all about. In all honesty, I didn't have as much fun as the others when I played this game, but I fully believe this game has some potential. Are We There Yet is basically just Peak, but instead of hiking, you travel a massive terrain with an RV that you're given. And also something too, I didn't put in the script, but the UI was very, very similar to Peak. It seems like almost they just stole the entire thing. You had to, you travel around with this nice ass RV. You could damage it, you could repair it, or you could drive it off a bridge and ruin the entire game. Oh, you did it. Oh no. The game came out in October of last year for $8. I just really enjoyed this game, or what this game had to offer. It was a shame I never got to finish it though. The guy that was running the save ended up posting out and not playing the game ever, but maybe I'll finish it one day with a bunch of people. Honorable mentions. These are a few games I high-key forgot about due to their short-lived successes, so now I'm going to list them. First off, we've got Buckshot Roulette. Buckshot Roulette was kind of big when it came out. It was big more as a single-player thing. And it was a game that came out in 2024 that was kind of like the not-so-great minigame Russian Roulette. You put the bullet in the revolver and, do that. It was kind of based off of that. It was with a shotgun and beer. You could like do power-ups and stuff. I liked it. It was okay, but it was not that great. The reason it's a Friendslop game though is because they added multiplayer, so people started buying it out of nowhere and just loading up that and shoot each other. It was kind of fun, but I never really liked it that much. I saw the potential, but it was just like, nah. Number 2, we have Liar's Bar. Liar's Bar lived off the hype that was created from Buckshot Roulette. But I'll be honest with y'all, I did not like this game at all.